Welcome to Behind the Smoke Podcast, Barbecue War Stories. My name is Sean Walchef with Cali Comfort Barbecue. We are recording above the butcher shop in Spring Valley at Valley Farm Market with my man Derek Marceau. Episode 60.
6-0. Nice.
60 weeks in a row.
Made it.
Woo!
Yeah, this is going to be the fucking, the one that's going to put us on a little hiatus, right?
This is a very special one. We have a very special guest coming to do our 60th episode.
Yeah, then we get to take
1 week off.
1 week off.
Bye week. It's actually our bye week.
It's a bye week. Mm-hmm. Annually.
Annual bye week. We're going to do an annual bye week, not a seasonal bye week, right. An annual bye week.
Let's do it. Yeah, no, it's been good. 60 episodes, man, nonstop. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's been...
and I'm sorry if you guys have all listened to all of them. I apologize for boring
spending 60 fucking hours with us.
Yeah,
it's a long fucking time.
It's a long time. How's everything in Cali Comfort?
Everything Cali Comfort's awesome. It's just for those of you tuning in for the first time, this is a business and digital marketing podcast. We publish every week, every Friday. We're very lucky and fortunate that barbecue has opened up many different doors for our barbecue restaurant and Derek's butcher shop, and we put on barbecue events, but we also do a lot within sports entertainment and media. And for us, this whole podcast came about to talk about stuff that people don't talk about on TV. They don't talk about on radio. They don't talk about in business school, all the shit that entrepreneurs have to go through to keep the dream alive. And we've learned so much from all of our guests. We're really, really lucky to have those people come and give us their time and share their stories.
Yeah, all the shit that you guys don't know about opening a business, like going into one of your busiest weeks ever and having 4 of your managers out. That's exciting for me right now. But yeah, I mean, we've had a few guys go down and with some medical issues, and a few guys with some personal issues, and other guys with, going on their vacations and stuff, and, just didn't plan strategically enough and kind of bit us in the ass. But here we are, and I'll be here all night tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday night, and I'll be here on Father's Day enjoying my Father's Day.
You're a father again. Three.
Father again. Yep, three. Dalton, Decker, and Dane.
And if Dane wants to see you, he's got to come down to the butcher shop.
Dane is, he weighed in yesterday at 12 pounds.
Get out of here.
2 weeks old, yeah. So he's moving on up. He's not shy. He's off the charts in height, and poor wife. His head was big old head. So yeah.
Well, happy Father's Day to you.
Same to you, my man.
We'll grind it out in our businesses. But today, so March 11th, 2015, I got an email from Dominic, who's our sales rep over at iHeart Media, local radio station. We do a lot of different stuff over there with sports radio and Rock 105.3, and he's just a fucking awesome friend, him and his wife. But he introduced me, an email introduction to Ernie Hahn, who we've had on this podcast, and today's guest, Ari Segal. Ari, you just can't get away from us.
I keep coming back.
You keep coming back.
It's for the wedding beans.
We appreciate you taking the time. We know it was a drive for you to get down here and making the time for a bunch of shitheads like us. We appreciate it, man. And what we've been able to do, and like you said, the relationships that we've been able to get through barbecue is pretty amazing.
It's been really amazing. And Ari, when we met, he was the president of the San Diego Gulls, bringing a new American Hockey League franchise to the San Diego market. And for him to reach out to a restaurant in East County, San Diego, took a lot of forward thinking on his part, because most people in his position wouldn't even have considered us as a sponsor. So Ari, tell us a little bit how that happened, because really what we're going to talk about today is eSports, but we do love the history because the sports entertainment aspect and the leadership aspect.
Sure. Well, first remember that when we first met, I wasn't the president of the San Diego Gulls. I was president of the Anaheim Ducks AHL affiliate, to be named later.
Correct.
And I actually had business cards that just said AHL team president. no branding at all. So that's how long ago that was. And interestingly, also remember at the time we were going to be playing our home games at the Valley View Casino Center, and there's another barbecue restaurant. Yes. Much closer to the Valley View Casino Center than Cali Comfort Barbecue is.
Right.
And I had a very different experience meeting Sean than I did meeting the folks at that fine establishment. I remember I had reached out to them also. I was new to the community, trying to meet people, trying to understand who was interested in sports and entertainment and who wanted to be part of something new and different. At the time, Valley View Casino Center was also completely turning over its food and beverage offering. Ernie and AEG were working on making the Valley View Casino Center a modern experience, kind of in a vintage shell, I guess you would say. And they were talking to different, whether it was merch providers or local businesses, to see who wanted to come in and be part of that transformation. And of course, we were targeting Phil's.
Sure.
It's the only time I'll say that name on this podcast.
No,
You're fine.
It's totally cool with us.
So we had reached out to them, hadn't heard back, and I got an email from them that said, we've been going through a lot of stuff. Just next time you're in, let us know. So I went over and introduced myself, and I said, hey, I'm Ari Segal. I'm from the Anaheim Ducks new AHL affiliate. I'd gotten an email to introduce myself when I stopped by. Just wanted to introduce myself. They said, wait here. They brought me into a back room. I thought I was going to be whacked.
He gone.
And the guy who, I actually don't think this guy's there anymore, but he sits me down and he says, so what do you want?
Wow.
And I said,
That's very inviting.
I said, yeah. I was like, honestly, you invited me to introduce myself.
Right.
I figured put a face to a name and we could schedule time to talk. He goes, why schedule time? You're right here. Let's talk. So I do my whole spiel. We're the new team. Here's what we're going to do. It's this old brand. We're going to turn it around. We're going to transform this venue. We're going to build a community around this thing. And he says, yeah, we're not looking to grow at all. We're like full on. We have every dollar of revenue we possibly need. I said, I think you're the only business in the whole world that has that point of view.
Right.
But like, okay, I said, I see trucks driving around with your logo on it. Those trucks aren't big enough to have like barbecue in the back. That must be marketing.
Sure.
He goes, yeah, no, we're just getting product from place to place and might as well have branding. I said, okay, you're not thinking of other locations? Because I heard maybe Petco Park. Or he said, yeah, no, we're just not interested in any of that. I said, okay, fine. Like if that changes, let me know. And it was about the next week that I met Dominic. I think this is a good lesson in business. Dominic and I at the time were talking about maybe 1360 being the radio partner for the Gulls. And that ultimately didn't work out for a variety of reasons. But we had developed a relationship that was about the relationship between two people that like to do business together and that are living in the same community and working in the same community.
Right.
And Dominic also had that relationship with Sean. And so he put the two of us together without regard to whether or not 1360 was going to be involved or not. And Sean's had a ton of success subsequently maintaining his relationship with those guys and doing a lot on their air over time, and still remains in contact with Dominic, as do I.
Yeah.
And it's just a great lesson. Sometimes it's not a direct line. Sometimes you got to go a little bit around. You got to kind of jump out to jump back in. But if you meet people, develop relationships, 3 years later, I'm sitting here, an hour of podcasting in between me and some brisket.
Right.
and it kind of all goes back to that.
I think one of the interesting points too was that you and Ernie were willing to do something that was different, and that you were willing to ask the people that you were vetting, hey, do you know anybody that we might not think of, that might not be on our sponsor list? Because talk about the process of you go and you vet and you go, oh, well, these are the big companies, these are the players we want to go after. But sometimes the sponsorships that mean the most are different. They're different totally.
Well, the sponsorships that mean the most are a function of the principals. Who are the actual people and what is the genesis of their relationship? Because when things are going well, things are going well. And that's not what really accelerates a business forward. It's how you react when things aren't going as well.
Absolutely.
And if there's an authentic business relationship and connection between principals, there's an authentic brand overlap in terms of value and trajectory and audience and market. But then also you just really care about the person sitting across the table from you. You care about their wife. You care about their dog. You care about their kids. The relationship takes on a completely different complexion.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes you talk about business as being family. The people you work with, you spend more time with than you do your own family.
Yeah.
I talked to Sean over the last 3 years more than I probably talked to anybody except my wife, my parents, my absolute closest friends, because we do business together. We've become close friends. Our families know each other, right? And, that doesn't necessarily mean you're the two biggest dogs, but you're going to work the hardest.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah, No, it's great. Just, I mean, having those relationships, we see it all the time, and it's, building those relationships, it allows you to be vested in something that's bigger than you. You can have a bigger interest, and, like you said, it's not a transactional right now. It's the longevity of like the rest of our lives. We can work together forever, and it's not a monetary thing right away.
I remember after Cali Comfort came on board as a team partner of the Gulls and also a venue partner for Valley View Casino Center. And a lot of change was happening very quickly there. And they brought in this new guy, Joey Smith, who was helping Ernie turn around the F&B experience. Levy did an amazing job, and Ernie and his staff did too. And the product, the Cali Comfort product that was being served to the customer at Valley View Casino was not Cali Comfort product. No, it was a learning experience and everything else, but Sean and his staff literally jumped behind the counter and trained them and figured out how to get the product up to par, right, so that the Cali Comfort experience at Valley View Casino Center was the Cali Comfort experience. Mm-hmm. And for us, those are our fans, right? So if we're telling our fans we're delivering you a Cali Comfort experience, but we're not, it doesn't just hurt Cali Comfort, it hurts us too.
Sure.
And when you have partners that care that much about their own product and yours, you develop credibility with your fans or your community, because what you say you're going to do, you're actually doing.
Right.
100%. I think a lot of times people, they get scared at saying something that they should say. I think the true partnerships, true friendships actually in life, Derek and I early on, one of the things that I valued the most about our friendship was that if he saw something at the restaurant that, maybe my server wasn't doing the right thing, or, maybe they asked, oh, do you want change with that when they were going to check out their bill? He would tell me those little things, not as a way to bug me, but he knows that I care that much that I want to know so that I can fix it.
Here's a great story about Sean. So there was one time on that point, that Sean was really agitated. And
I never get agitated.
Never. And and this is, I think, actually at the restaurant, not at the arena. And the reason was that, and I love this, one of the servers who was just out of training but not fully established had called the wedding beans. Mm-hmm. And Sean said, they're not beans.
We don't serve beans.
You don't serve beans at Cali Comfort. You serve wedding beans. And I was like, this is a guy that gets it.
Right.
Every single thing is brand.
Right.
Was it Bill Parcells that said every day you're getting better or getting worse?
Yep.
Every interaction drives an outcome. Yeah. Are you getting better or you're getting worse? Every time someone says beans, they misrepresent the brand of Cali Comfort. Every time someone says wedding beans, they reinforce that brand.
Right.
Sean cares that much.
No, he does. You can see it in all the details. It's something that for Sean, what he taught me, just in our 10 years of friendship, I'm very, very good at what I do when it comes to, hands-on, butchering an animal, doing stuff, very strategic that way. I'm really good with numbers. That's just, I've been blessed with a mind that works that way. Sean has taught me about processes and making sure everything's consistent, about branding, about marketing. And those things to me, I had to get out of my own way. And it was like what you're saying, it just, everything has to be there. And it doesn't have to be a pretentious thing. You're not being pretentious about it. You're just saying, hey, these aren't beans. These are wedding beans. These are our brand of beans. So you have to own those things. And it's like, oh no, but it's fine. They're just beans. It's like, it's not fine. You really have, you don't need to make a huge deal about it all the time, but just learning those little things, it's like, man, because when people try something, I want them to know that that's Valley Farm or that's Cali Comfort. You want them to be able to say that's the what I mean. That's the best. And that's just something that's I've taken away over the last 10 years that continues to this day. I continue learning from him on just that side of things.
Well, let's bring it back to sports, right? If the Dallas Cowboys sold every single asset, quantifiable fixed asset that they could. They sold all their players for their contracted value. They sold every physical item in their offices. The value of all of those things collectively would probably be 25% or less of the total franchise value. Well, why is that? It's because all of that other stuff, all of that intangible stuff.
It's how the star makes you feel.
It's all of that other stuff that drives the value. And there's a reason why if the Cowboys were going to be sold on the open market, what do you think if the Panthers are $2.2 billion, what are the Cowboys?
Right.
Yeah.
$5 billion?
Yeah.
$4.5 billion, $5 billion probably. So what's that extra $4 billion of value? It's that other stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, talking about sports, Derek and I were talking about it just yesterday was, for me, my best coaches always taught me that you're going to practice how you're going to play. And in business, there is no practice. Every day we're playing. Every single day is our game day. And we have to prepare that way. And we have to prepare. And all those details have to matter. Because if they don't matter, then something else isn't going to matter. And it becomes this cascading effect that can be detrimental to the culture of, what you're trying to create. Talk about what it was building a team here for the Gulls. And kind of, we have Nate here with us who we absolutely love. And I mean, Derek Dawson, Matt Savant, all the people that we have such a deep relationship with the Gulls. And it's something that I never thought could happen with a sports franchise.
Well, I think that's because we didn't operate it like a sports franchise per se. We operated it like we're trying to build a community, the most vibrant, connected community that we possibly could. And sports was the enabler of that. But that was the means and not the end, right? Mm-hmm. So I think every good team starts with people. And every good sports organization, the people are like the spine of the whole thing. And NFL is the easiest visual, but like coach, quarterback, owner. Why are the Patriots successful? Right. Mm-hmm. You have the Kraft family, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. It's really hard to screw up the rest of it.
Sure.
And arguably, like the way the Patriots drafted in the first round over the last 5 years, they should have screwed it up, but sure. they just keep winning because they have that spine so firmly in place. And for us, at the time, the Samuelis are probably the best owners in pro sports. They're on the top tier. I don't know the difference between them and all the other great owners, but AEG's a great owner. But Samuelis are in that gold-plated top tier. Mike Schulman, the CEO of the Ducks. Ernie at the Valley View Casino Center. Dallas Eakins, the coach. Bob Ferguson, the general manager. It's easy to kind of execute on the ground when that infrastructure is in place and stable. Do you know that the Samuelis have never fired their general manager since they own the team?
Wow.
They had Brian Burke when they started. Brian Burke left, went to the Maple Leafs. Bob Murray became the general manager, and he's been the general manager ever since. They have had one CEO, Mike Schulman, since they bought the team. That kind of stability creates predictability that you can then solve around and manage against, right? It's so much easier. Think about drafting in the NFL. If you're a Marty Schottenheimer system and you draft for 3 years to be able to execute Marty Schottenheimer's offense, what happens if you try to turn over to Norv Turner's offense?
Yep.
You have to completely redraft, re-sign for every offensive position. Yep. Are there going to be ups and downs if the Ducks won a Stanley Cup every year? No. But because they have the same principles in place with the same operating philosophy, the same objectives, the same approach, it becomes just so much easier to audit inefficiency and improve around that. So the first thing we had that in place. The second thing was early hires. Nate was the first guy we hired. And Nate and I very quickly agreed that the single most important thing in order to get right in the American Hockey League, and I think it's true in all sports, is we were going to make the season ticket holder feel like they were an owner in the team. And we were going to do that because we were going to ask them not for a 1-year investment, but for a multi-year investment.
A generational investment.
A generational investment. But we were going to make the value proposition so compelling for a multi-year deal that it was almost like if you had any interest in being a partial plan holder, you were going to be with the team for 3 years. And that gave us an opportunity to really impact the relationship because the person was in for 3 years. So they were going to be committed to helping you make it better. And then what we did was we really listened hard. We learned some tough lessons early, but we listened really, really hard. And 2 things came out of that, at least for us. And both of us are not from San Diego.
Right.
San Diego's a tough market.
It's a tough market.
It's a real tough market.
But here's a story. So the day that we announced the franchise, what happened was there was an American League press conference up at maybe in Edmonton or Calgary, one of the initial teams. You know what? It was in San Jose. It was in San Jose. John Turturro, who's the COO of the Sharks, kind of led the announcement, but all the principals from the other teams were there. We announced that there was going to be a team coming to San Diego. The next day, there was going to be a press conference at the Valley View Casino Center. And Ernie said to me, we got to do a real press conference and invite everybody. And we said, you know what? It's just going to be redundant. Like, we just did this yesterday. Let's just have media availability. And anyone who's anyone will be available to local press if they want it. And Ernie said, you guys, you're not getting it.
Yeah.
It's San Diego. You have to not kiss the ring in the way that sounds, but you have to show respect to this market.
You buy in by getting in the water.
You recognize that this is a particular market with particular people and show them the respect of talking directly to them, right? We didn't listen, and it was a mistake. But we only made that mistake once.
Sure.
So we were going to never make the mistake again that we're a team from Orange County or a team from Anaheim, and we were going to market or position this as a Anaheim Orange County asset. Mm-hmm. We were going to lean in 100% into the San Diego market, number one. And then number two, we decided that whereas most people would gather their season ticket base and feel like they had that base locked in for 3 years and then turn their focus to single game or groups or other things, every single thing that we did was just going to reinforce that those people had made the right decision. And those people, the 3,000, was it 3,000 season ticket holders now? So there are 3,000 season ticket holders for the Gulls that are now the Gulls ticket sales staff.
Yeah, 100%.
The Gulls have a few people in the office who kind of put the pieces together and help deploy those resources correctly. But every other American Hockey League team is working with a ticket sales staff of 20, and the Gulls are working with a ticket sales staff of 3,000.
Sure.
That's the way we built the business.
Well, I mean, the way that, just for me, being a season ticket holder, a sponsor, going to the games, I felt like I was going to high school.
Nate says they're closer to 4 now.
That's why he makes the big bucks. That's why he's incredible at his job. But going to the games, I can't believe I knew so many people in the front office because you guys were boots on the ground. You were there in the arena. You were helping the season ticket holder. You were helping the fan. And you were doing that on a level that, I mean, the stuff that Derek Dawson would do and go out of his way.
Oh, don't boost his ego.
His head's big enough.
Well, he's going to be competing in Del Mar, so
yeah.
The KCBS judges will bring his ego down. Yeah. But
I don't know. Based on his Facebook, I'd tell him a little less time on the second side. You want it red in the center.
But no, like just the way that you guys approached exactly that, the season ticket holder and buying in to your brand ambassador. I mean, those people not only were brand ambassadors, but they were buying into you.
So listening is just so important. When we bought the team, one of the things that Mike Schulman and I did was we spent a lot of time talking to all of the affiliates that the Ducks had been with previously. So we spent a lot of time talking to the folks in Syracuse and Norfolk and Portland and wherever else. And there was this famous story of the year after the Ducks had drafted Bobby Ryan. So people might not remember, Bobby Ryan was the number 2 overall pick the year Sidney Crosby went number 1. Oops.
Right.
And he's had a great career. He was on the Stanley Cup winning team for the Ducks in 2007. He's been in the NHL for 10 plus years, like by all accounts, successful career. But his rookie year, he was going to start the season at the American League team. And that team built its entire marketing campaign around Bobby Ryan. He was on every poster, number 2 pick in the draft, star, American-born kid, all that stuff. And 10 days into the season, he was called up to the NHL, and he was never there. Huh. So they had all this marketing collateral, and they had sold this vision of Bobby Ryan, and then all of a sudden they had to rework everything. And so what we decided was the players on the ice are going to cycle through. What needs to be the star of the show is the fans and the community that they create together. Mm-hmm. So the out-of-venue experience, the in-venue experience, the connectivity of the fans, the exclusive events like our Founders Day event, opportunities for the fans to come together with an event that was really just about them. All of that stuff reinforced this message that if Shea Theodore or Brandon Montour get called up to the NHL, we should celebrate that and they're a part of us forever, but the show goes on because the show wasn't really about them to begin with.
Yep, 100%.
There's so many synergies, and I'm just sitting back and taking it all in. But I mean, just even with a grocery store and hospitality and, just making sure that it's an experience. You need to make sure what differentiates someone like us from a commodity store is that I can create an experience when you come in. I want, we do the 5 for 5 thing. We want to make sure that the consumer is getting that experience. They feel welcome. They come in. I mean, we have people that will come in now that just want to talk. They just want to come in and talk to the butcher. And like, yeah, just for advice. And talking. But it's in business. That's what separates you. Yeah. It's just having that experience. If you want to be a transactional place, you're going to be in and out of business pretty quick. It's the same 100%. Concept if it comes to a team like that. If you just want a season ticket to get some money and you're not creating an experience, they're not going to come back next year.
You guys had Bruce Howard on.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing Bruce. Is incredible.
The best.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
dude,
fucking Bruce. And he, that guy's just been killing it for right. 40 years in business. But I love his stat that, 85% of people who go to his casino and restaurant pass another casino before they get there.
Right.
So what is it that's making people make that decision to do the less convenient thing? Right?
It's the experience that he provides.
Well, it's what goes back to what we were talking about before. It's how does it make you feel? How does that logo? It's not marketing, it's not advertising, it's branding. That's the true branding where I feel like when I see Valley Farm Market, I know it has a whole story behind it, and I'm all in. It's like when it was with the Gulls, every time I wear the Gulls, or my wife wears it, or my son wears it, we feel a certain way because we're so fucking proud of it. We're proud because we're buying into that. And then when we go see other fans and they're wearing the same stuff, it gets us that much more excited.
Had you ever even been to a hockey game when you became a Gulls sponsor?
I had been to 2 Avalanche games in Colorado, thanks to Garrett Blakely. He's
another friend,
Jersey fan. Yeah, see, this is the podcast network.
Garrett does my life insurance.
He does mine as well. Yeah, he's doing an incredible. He's a hockey family. He's the one that first taught me about hockey, but it was you that kind of, I guess, you pushed me over the edge, big time.
I never knew how exciting hockey was until I went to a game.
I can't believe I got you to a game.
I've been to one. I've been to one.
He only had 2 kids at the time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my kids have a bedtime.
Yeah.
We're very strict on getting them down at 7:30, so the later starts don't necessarily work for us. But pretty soon my oldest will be getting, we'll let him stay up till 8:30 with dad.
There you go.
9, go to a few games or something. It's just, there's so much action. I come from football and, there's a lot of downtime, and with hockey, it's just go.
It's go.
And, I'm a huge fan.
It's an incredible experience.
If I can actually get there and watch it, but
100%.
It's amazing.
So get us to eSports. How do we get from Gulls to eSports?
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
Yeah.
Doing what you're doing now.
Get us there.
So, in between the Gulls and eSports, I went to the Coyotes, did a bunch of things that were kind of lifted from the Gulls model, right? So try to connect with season ticket holders, really figure out how to make people connect to something beyond maybe the initial experience. So, for example, in Arizona, you have a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a long time. You have kind of a transient population that is very snowbird driven, right? So a book that Nate had recommended to me many years ago, How to Sell the Last Seat in the House, a lot of those best practices still apply, even though the way that we sell tickets now is much different. So How to Sell the Last Seat in the House said, you don't sell games, you sell experiences, sell sellouts. If you go to the game and there's 2/3 of the seats are empty, a hot dog tastes different than when you go to the game 100%. And it's packed.
It's the truth,
right?
It's the truth, 100%.
So, for example, one of the things we did was try to figure out, instead of marketing 41 games, what if we put all of our energy into trying to market 10 games? Every dollar spent, every call made, every resource deployed, not against 41 games, but against 10. And, with essentially constant on-ice performance, had the most ticket sales in team history using some of those strategies. I'm kind of on the younger end of the spectrum for folks that have run teams.
Well, when you went to Arizona, let's be fucking honest here. They were like, "What? Who are you? And why are you so young?"
I'm aging. I'm aging rapidly. In fact, some guy. This is a true story. Some guy that I met maybe 3 weeks ago in a business setting found me on LinkedIn, and he goes, that picture of you, because we both went to UVA undergrad, he goes, is that picture from UVA? And I said, no, that's from last year. So anyway, so did a bunch of that stuff, but for a variety of reasons was kind of looking to do something else, and kind of went back to what were the reasons why the Gulls experience really worked. And it was that spine. It was who are the people involved, what is their vision, what are their values, and was connected to this group of people that run this company called Immortals that I now work for, that were just absolute aces across the board. So the CEO is this guy, Noah Winston. He's 23 years old, college dropout. You guys will love the irony here. As many who have stuck it to the man in various forms. Noah was a Northwestern college student who was born and raised in Evanston, whose parents were college professors when he dropped out to start an esports company. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That takes some fucking balls.
You can imagine
that.
Vision, man. Imagine that conversation.
How's that Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
and every Thanksgiving.
And every subsequent one, yeah.
So he was, at the time, so when he started the company, just prior to starting the company, he was like the top ranked sports bettor on every esports focused gambling site at the same time. And somebody said to him, and he, by the way, he was also very good at betting on traditional sports. Someone said to him, if you're this good at identifying talent, and you're this good at identifying kind of like arbitrage where everybody sees this value over here, but you see the value is actually something much different, instead of just gambling, why don't you start a company? First of all, you get to gamble with other people's money. So there's that. And second, you can actually be an owner as opposed to just kind of putting wagers on the board. And so he did. And he, over the course of 2 years before I joined, put together this just amazing investor base where they're not really investors, they're strategic partners. So there are 4 large strategic partners at Immortals that collectively, between those strategic partners and management, we own about 80% of the company. And those strategic partners are AEG, Lionsgate, the movie studio that also owns Starz, the OTT platform,
Right.
the Milken family,
Wow.
and then this guy named Steve Kaplan, who was a co-founder of Oak Tree Capital, is an owner of Swansea City, a co-owner of the Memphis Grizzlies, and currently a sports and entertainment investor. And so across those entities and the people who represent those entities on our board, I should mention, it's not like we're co-owned by AEG and, the junior ticket seller for the Berlin Ice Barons is on our board of directors. The chief strategy officer of AEG, someone who reports to Mr. Anschutz, Steve Cohen,
incredible,
is on our board. It's not like some junior PA from Lionsgate is on our board. The president of Interactive Ventures, Games and Digital Strategy at Lionsgate is our chairman, Peter Levin. It's not like the Milken family is kind of tangentially committed to this, and so someone from the Institute is on our board. Mike Milken himself and his son Gregory are on our board.
Wow.
So we get both the organizations and the people that really make it work. So when I was kind of evaluating what to do next, I was thinking the things that I really enjoy are being an entrepreneur with kind of sports and entertainment as the overhang. I really like working with smart, connected people that can kind of give me the opportunity both to have vision, but also to execute. And really awesome when the ambition and the vision of others exceeds your own, and you can be like, oh my God, that is a big idea. How am I going to be the one that actually executes this? But that is a big meatball. And the commitment that those folks had to really doing something special in esports was one that I felt could be applied to anything. I mean, esports was interesting because the growth is so massive and the opportunity to connect is so real, and because the demographic is so attractive. But really, the reasons that I was connected to the company started with the people, or interested in the company started with the people. And then as I got to know them and got to understand their vision for the industry, I said, this is a rocket ship that I want to...
When were you all in? Was there a conversation, or was there something you saw or felt?
So there were a few kind of checkpoints along the way that let me know that this was a good thing. The first was when Noah and I first met, we just talked about kind of brand building in sports. And I recommended a book to him called Authentic Masterpiece, which Nate's read because I made every single person on the Gulls staff read it.
We're going to put all everything we talk about in the show notes. So anything that we mention, any of the books or companies, we'll put in there.
Okay, so Authentic Masterpiece is a book that was written about the creation of the Seattle Sounders, which people may not remember now because the MLS has kind of hit this golden age of expansion. But when the Sounders came, it was truly revolutionary what they were doing in soccer in the United States. Since then, both because people have replicated their model and also because I think management has improved and also because soccer is just a great sport that people are kind of figuring out why the rest of the world has known this for
forever,
hundreds of years, and
Sure.
like we're just kind of catching up. But at the time, that it was, wait a second, 40,000 people are showing up to a football stadium to watch soccer. People are marching to a match like through the middle of downtown Seattle to go to a soccer game.
Yeah.
Is it Manchester United playing?
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, there's this book about it, and I had read it before starting the Gulls and made every single person on our staff read it, and I recommended it to Noah. And he called me the next day and he said, "This is what we're trying to do." So
Really?
the fact that he read it, in a day, the fact that he connected with what I consider
Wow.
like core source material to the way that I do business really mattered. Number one. Number two, when we laid out our strategic plan of how we would work together, the ambition was not simply let's win a bunch of games, or let's win a bunch of games in a bunch of different titles, or let's build the biggest fan base that we can. That was the opposite of the goal. The goal was everybody is trying to build the biggest fan base. Let's build the most passionate fan base. Noah never once talked about the reach of the company. He talked about engagement. Mm-hmm. And in fact, there's this guy that we work with now at Microsoft named Sean Sanford, who's the director of lifestyle marketing, who you guys should totally have on if you
100%.
can. He has this saying that I think defines the way Immortals thinks about fan base development. He says, "I would take one relationship over 1 million impressions." And when you're talking about a digitally native product, and there's so much focus on impressions, and everybody is building their digital businesses on a CPM and a reach model, and you're saying, forget all of that. Let's go from the inside out, from the bottom up. You have the chance to do something really different. And I think that business works that way. John Wooden said the trouble with new books is they keep you from reading the old ones. People respond to real connection. If you're developing a relationship with a person, just like the Gulls season ticket holders or the Gulls sales staff, if you're developing a relationship with a fan, you're making them feel connected to a brand. It doesn't matter if that's a digitally native product. It doesn't matter if it's a market. It doesn't matter if it's a movie. It doesn't matter if it's a university. They're going to evangelize for you. And it's a way stickier, way easier, not easier in the sense that it's easy to build that.
It's definitely, it's not easy.
It's not easy, but it's easy in the sense that you're all aligned.
Yes, correct. 100%.
I always tell people sometimes ask me, I consult students from Stanford when they're going on job interviews or whatever, and they say, should I do this? Should I say that? I say, you should just be yourself, because what are you going to do if you've pretended to be this other person and then you get the job? You're just going to be this other person?
Terrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
If your fans are connected to you because they actually share your values, they care about who you are and what you represent, it's not easy. You have to earn that trust every single day, but at least you don't have to rethink who you are or what you stand for. Decision making is easy. There's no, like, should we do this or should we do that? There's a right and a wrong, and it's easy to just do the right thing every time. And every time you make the right decision, it reinforces that relationship with your fan base. So we were aligned there. And then as we got into it, so even after I kind of dove in and started, there were a few early warning signs that this was a great organization with amazing people.
That's gotta feel great.
We had this experience shortly after I joined the company where we can talk about what's happening with franchising in eSports. Mm-hmm. So prior to this summer, there was no franchising in eSports. So people could buy a roster, start a team, get into a league. Imagine if anyone could just put together a bunch of money and start an NFL team in San Diego. That was the way eSports existed. And two games were converting to a franchise model where you actually had to own a franchise in order to participate. We got into one, that's Overwatch League, where we have our LA Valiant brand. We didn't get into the other, which was League of Legends. And things could have gone one of two ways there. Our board could have said, this is not what we signed up for. Our board could have said, what do we do now? Our board could have said, whose fault was it? Let's point the finger and identify who did the wrong thing. The opposite is what happened. We said, we are in this together for the long haul. Let's make sure that we have the right strategy and the right resources, and let's deploy those resources against that strategy together. And we had daily board calls through that process, but came out of it a month or two later with a completely different strategy, one that we were all 100% committed to, and I think motivated that the strategy that we were pursuing now was actually a better strategy for our organization and our fans and our investors than the strategy we had been pursuing previously. And the fact that we kind of closed ranks together and were united together to manage through a tough time was just a blinking red light that these are the kind of people that you want to work with and get to know and be in the trenches with.
I never knew how big esports was.
Give us some overview of what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So League of Legends. So esports. The crazy thing about esports is that it's very complex. There's a million stats, but every chart is up and to the right. So like, when in doubt, just assume it's going up and to the right. So a few just numbers that are, you just shake your head. By 2020, 2021, there will be 500 million of people participating in mobile games globally. 5 years ago, really, mobile games didn't even exist. It's 500 million people. The biggest esport right now is traditionally, as far as kind of viewership and then player base, because those things are different, right? Like, you can play League of Legends, but not necessarily be a fan of League of Legends as an esport, just like you can play golf, but you may not watch the US Open this weekend.
Sure.
But League of Legends, the granddaddy of esports right now, has 100 million monthly active players, give or take. There is a mobile esport called Arena of Valor that's been around for less than 3 years in China. It's called Honor of Kings over there. It has 100 million daily players in China alone.
I mean, so just to interject, when we went to the Chargers game and I took you to StubHub, we went up to Thunder Alley and got to hang out, and just being able to spend that time with you to find out what you were doing with esports and why you were so excited about it. I think it was the Twitch moment when you started explaining Twitch to me.
Oh, yeah. The
how
ESPN
many
stat.
fucking people are watching this.
So,
and what they're watching.
Well, so Twitch is a platform that Amazon acquired a couple years ago for about $1 billion. And I think industry insiders would tell you that it was actually Amazon's best acquisition to date. In other words, the value...
They weren't busy enough buying Whole Foods?
This was before Whole Foods. Although the funny thing about Whole Foods is, if you look at what happened to Amazon's market cap on the day that Amazon bought Whole Foods, it was almost like the market said, oh my God, Jeff Bezos, thank you so much for buying this asset. We want to give you this thing and also an extra $3 billion just for your troubles.
Right.
Because they're the increase in their market cap exceeded the value of the acquisition by like $3 billion. Great to have that reputation.
Right.
So Twitch is essentially the home of, excluding China, it's the home of live streamed content, particularly for gaming. And that involves some esports content, but it also involves just streaming content. So there are not 2.5 million esports teams, but there's 2.5 million content creators on Twitch. And that involves people like Ninja, who you might have heard of from Fortnite. It involves professional esports players. It involves influencers. And it's really like democracy on over the top.
And that's their primary platform.
Correct. Democracy meets over the top distribution, because anybody can upload their own content and the market determines what's good content and what's not good content. It's not like the TV model where a year before a show is on the air, a network is reviewing 1,000 scripts to approve 20 pilots. I don't know if these numbers are right. To approve 20 pilots, 10 get made, 3 go to air, and then 2 actually get picked up for the next 18 episodes or whatever. Right. It's not that. Anybody can go online, and the market determines, not a bunch of suits, the market determines what the good content really is. And right now, on a monthly basis, well, I'll ask you guys. You guys are big sports fans. How many minutes of content do you think are consumed on ESPN on a monthly basis?
Per person?
Total minutes viewed on ESPN. Every single person viewing times the minutes that they view on a monthly basis.
I would need my calculator. A ton.
What would be a stupid number?
A billion.
Okay, that would be. It's actually 8 billion.
8 billion. Wow.
7 to 8 billion minutes per month on ESPN. On Twitch,
according to Nielsen?
Yeah, Nielsen, Disney, people report the minutes consumed. Although this is pre-ESPN Plus, of course, but ESPN Plus in many ways is inspired by Twitch, I think. In any case, Twitch has over 26 billion minutes a month of consumed content.
That's insane.
Video content. And so like 3.5 times as much content consumed globally.
So this
as
is
ESPN.
people viewing the games being played.
Yeah.
Games or practices. So we have our players.
Dude, I'm so like this is like
imagine if you're a Chargers fan, right? Imagine. I know we have one.
We have one Chargers fan. The last one standing.
Yeah. So imagine if, to supplement the 16 games that you get to watch a year, Phillip Rivers said, once a week for the entire offseason, I'm going to wear a GoPro and I'm going to let you watch me practice. And I'm also going to mic myself up so that you can hear me talking to my quarterback coach and my receivers. And in fact, I'm actually going to have 1,000 fans or every fan who wants to watch live come and join me, and I will interact with you during that practice. Do you think that would be interesting to people?
I think if you're playing high school football and you have a son that's playing quarterback,
I'm just happy that fucking Ari gets me. He can break it down that way to where I fucking understand it. So thank you for that.
So that's the kind.
No, for sure though. I mean, it just brings so much value. Right?
It's different. It's real. I mean, I will tell you right now. Go on Twitch and look at what a live stream looks like. That is what sports consumption will look like on every platform.
I watched it this morning. I can't believe it. It's incredible.
And here's why. It involves the core content, right? So you see whatever it is that you're watching. You also get to see what that person is watching. So imagine if you're watching an NFL game and you can actually see the broadcast image, but you also have a GoPro that shows you what Rivers is looking at when he drops back, when he makes his read. And imagine if also you could communicate in real time with your friends and other fans as you're watching this in an immersive, social, digital, virtual experience all at the same time. That's what you get when you watch on Twitch. And that's why 26 billion minutes of this stuff is being viewed on a monthly basis, primarily by people under the age of 25.
Well, and it helps the person who's doing the Phillip Rivers, because he can go back and now listen to what other people are talking about. Like if he missed a read or something, right? So I don't know how it applies to the games, but it will make him better. He can say, well, yeah, shit, I could have, maybe it's a perspective that he didn't see. Now he can get better.
I mean, I think it's a lot. It's going back to the craft. And if you think about it just in barbecue terms, the more that we share our craft, the more engagement that we're getting. Because it's not about what we do at Cali Comfort.
The vulnerability too.
It's the vulnerability, but it's the learning. Yeah. That's it's education at its best.
Well, why does Cali Comfort on a daily basis show the ribs and the hickory smoke as video content?
Yeah.
And why do you show these beautifully composed plates to highlight different menu items every single day? Or every Sunday morning, I see that MFing Bloody Mary with the bacon candy, and everything else. And
Corey's candied bacon.
Yeah.
Why do you do that? It's because in addition to the experience that someone has when they're coming to the restaurant, you want to create an experience that extends beyond the restaurant and encourages people to interact with your brand and feel like your brand is present and to anticipate and look forward to their next visit. Mm-hmm. Do you know when people are do you know when people in a typical work week peak in terms of happiness?
Friday afternoon.
No, it's actually Thursday night or Friday morning. It's because they're anticipating the weekend. Once you get to Friday afternoon, you're already in it. You're already thinking about the plan that you have Friday night and then Saturday and then Sunday and then back to work Monday. When everyone in the room is nodding, by the way. On Thursday night, it's all in front of you.
Yeah.
And so if you're a fan of Cali Comfort Barbecue and you can start that interaction when you see the Bloody Mary in content before you actually go and experience it, the experience is longer, it's richer, it has a longer tail, it's more shareable, it encourages you to share it with others or invite other people to join you. It just takes all of the good things and makes them better. And so the way that esports content is delivered is about taking the live experience of the games themselves and augmenting them with all of these other live touch points between player and fan and team and fan and fan. And then, critically, different from other sports, allowing fans to take that and apply it to their own gameplay.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Well, I mean, that's what Behind the Smoke is for us. Derek showing somebody how to break down a hog. That's valuable information to somebody that's on the other side of the world, that might be trying to do the same exact thing.
And when you hear someone talking about that, it makes you hungry. 100%. Why is that? How come I'm listening to someone talking about breaking down a hog and it makes me hungry? That's completely irrational. But it's because in my mind, our brain does gymnastics for us, right? Our brain starts a journey. I know that the breaking down of the hog puts the hog in the position to get salt on it, to start getting the juices released or whatever. And then Sean and Gene are throwing it on something. And if I wake up at 3 a.m. tomorrow, I could get tri-tips sliced just right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
And it's the start of that thing. How do you connect to people at the start of the thing and keep them there to the actual meal and then extend the experience after? Twitch does that in real time for people. And it's available anytime on demand for free on any device. I can watch Overwatch right now.
Yeah.
I can watch Counter-Strike right now. I don't need Time Warner to do it for me. I don't need DirecTV to do it for me. I don't need the NFL to say it's okay to have a live game right now. I don't need the Players Association in the NFL to allow a player to bring me inside of his training or whatever else. I don't need an owner's permission. I can get live, on-demand, or other content from content creators and players and other influencers free whenever I want it, wherever I want it. The world is going in that direction.
100%. Talk about OTT, because I think that's fascinating from a hospitality standpoint. We wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't for my love of sports entertainment and the liquor license that came along with the voicemail that you heard at the beginning of the podcast. But really, the liquor license was the activation point to turn into a sports entertainment restaurant. DirecTV has been gouging us for 10 years plus in order to pay for these fees. Talk about OTT and what it is. So,
traditional sports, when I say traditional sports, I basically mean just not esports.
Yeah.
Traditional sports, their revenues, their valuation, all of the business metrics associated therewith has been supplemented for many years by essentially subsidies paid by cable subscribers. So nobody believes that everybody in a market is watching the Padres every time they're on. But the way that cable bundles are priced and sold is a function of households, not viewership. So whatever the Padres are getting for their local rights, or the Ducks, or the Minnesota Wild, or the Memphis Grizzlies, or whomever else, roughly 80% of that value is a function of market size. Whether the team is the best in the league and drawing the best ratings, or the worst in the league and drawing the worst ratings. That model is being broken because no one under the age of 25 is subscribing to cable. Right. I have a friend, Bryce, who's works for this company called Catalyst. You can follow him at eSports Law. Little plug for
Nice.
Bryce. And he has this saying, every day a baseball fan dies and 2 esports fans are born. and you could kind of extrapolate that and say every day a cable subscriber dies and 2 OTT subscribers are born.
Sure.
And so there's this transformation that's underway where progressive sports organizations are trying to think about how do we get in front of this change. So like Ted Leonsis in Monumental Sports and Entertainment and the Clippers and others are trying to think about how can we get our content directly to viewers whether or not they have cable. 100%. How do we come up with a bundle of rights or a bundle of content that is interesting and get it directly to people? That's why ESPN is building Plus around things like hockey that's not available on ESPN linear, around the UFC, because the UFC fan out there that wants their UFC, they're willing to buy ESPN Plus on a monthly basis, even if they're not willing to pay $130 for the base plan on Time Warner Cable or whatever.
Right.
So there's this transformation underway, and esports fans, young millennial Gen Z consumers are leading the charge, because everybody wants to. This is all market driven.
Yep.
And it's all brand driven. The brands want to get to people that are 34 and younger. The 18 to 34-year-old male consumer is the person primarily targeted by many, many brands, which is, of course, ironic because most purchases are made by women.
Yes,
I never
100%.
I never understand why people are targeting
So
men.
driven to the men.
I don't buy myself anything.
Nothing.
My wife buys, but I guess I'm not in the 18 to 34 demo anymore. I left that behind.
Yeah, that's true.
But that market, that audience that people want to reach is not on cable. So brands are trying to think, how do we get to these people, which is making the OTT value proposition that much greater. And so customers now, fans of ours or consumers of media and entertainment, are picking the things that they want and associating the value that they want with those things. So the interesting thing about the young consumer that I didn't really appreciate fully until I started working in esports, people think of this person as highly price sensitive, and that's actually true only when it's stuff that they don't want.
Yeah.
They refuse to pay for stuff that they don't want. They will actually overpay for stuff that they do want.
Yeah.
So, for example, Netflix is something that they tend to want. And Netflix has increased its prices however many percent over the last couple of years, and subscribers have increased, not decreased, even though price went up. Why is that? Because there's more of the good same thing that people are coming for. Compelling content delivered on demand when I want it, with a very sophisticated algorithm that helps me curate that vast library and figure out the things that I'm likely to want.
Sure.
So interestingly, when you look at the way that people are carving up the platforms that they subscribe to, so I subscribe to Netflix, and I subscribe to CBS All Access, and I subscribe to Hulu or whatever else, very often the monthly fee is greater than if I had subscribed to cable.
Sure.
But the portability of it is greater, and I ascribe some value to that. And it is more specific to my concerns, right? And to my wants and needs. And so it's not about the total price that I'm paying. It's the combination of access, availability, convenience, and value. And young consumers find that by selecting a la carte through OTT offerings rather than a cable bundle.
Feel like you're in control.
Yeah.
You're in complete control.
Right.
And you don't have to deal with Time Warner customer service, which...
It's the word. I mean, the fact that these companies and these institutions have been built on, and they've reduced payroll by having shitty customer service. I mean, just look at taxi cabs. I mean, I remember when I was getting taxi cabs, I would call dispatch, and dispatch, you'd be on hold for 15 minutes. They tell you, can I get an estimate of when the cab's going to come? Might come in 15 minutes. Might come. We don't do that. We don't give that to you.
What about delivery? Have you ever called for food delivery where they didn't say the food just left?
Right.
Yeah, it's always just left.
It always just left.
Absolutely.
Well, now you can
Checks
track
in the
it
mail.
Right, of course. Now you can track it with Postmates.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, just having that control, I think, when no one wants to be taken advantage of. And I think, these millennials and everyone are starting to understand that they will pay more if it's what they want.
Exactly.
And then they can be in control of it. This is what I want to watch. I don't mind paying the money, but just give it to me the way I want it. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, we're seeing it just in the craft of food. Everyone, they'll pay more for a high quality steak. They'll pay more for the organic produce. It's just what they want. Don't force them to buy something they don't want.
Well, the cable industry is a product of kind of government regulation and lobbying, right? Like, I can't just start a cable system in San Diego.
Yeah.
It has to be one that's kind of allowed access to the market by the local government. OTT is completely different.
Yeah.
San Diego can't tell me to subscribe to
Right.
Netflix versus Amazon Prime Video.
Correct.
I get to choose.
Yep.
And those entities...
My HOA doesn't even control that.
Your HOA... No,
They
correct.
can't even stop me
You
from
can
that.
get your dish. You're equivalent of a dish. But you as a consumer get to determine if the content that's being offered and the service that's being delivered and the overall value is worth the price. No one gets to regulate and control the entrance to that market. The content creators do.
I'm extremely pumped up for you, man. Just listening to you with the passion that you have for what you're doing right now. I mean, I can see it, how fucking jazzed you are about it. It's really awesome to see.
Well, the thing that's like so exciting about it is the whole industry is going to go up, right? There's no doubt about it. More people are converting to the kinds of content consumption that favors esports. The player base, the base of the pyramid is growing. Mobile has solved tremendous access problems. For the 5 years I was working in hockey, the biggest challenge was how do we get people to play so that they can understand it? Well, how many people do you know who don't own a smartphone?
Well, actually, since we're on the mobile, let's just talk about how hard it was to fucking stream the Gulls game in Cali Comfort. I mean, you and I had multiple long, in-depth conversations about how the fuck can't this get fixed? This is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's 2016. It's 2016, and you want me to put something that's not in high def on the TV?
Well, forget that it wasn't in high def. Remember the prices they wanted to charge
They wanted me to pay more than the NFL Sunday ticket.
Yeah.
For AHL hockey, and all I wanted was the Gulls game. Like, talk about a broken model.
It's a tough one.
That was a tough one. I sent Ari many emails.
Look, Dave Andrews, the president of the AHL, does a phenomenal job. I think he's one of the most underrated league executives maybe in the history of pro sports. That's a tough one.
It's a tough one. It's really tough.
But going back to your question, Derek, or your point, the whole industry is going to do great. But the fact that our strategy and the way that we're building our business is so different from the way everyone else is doing it, that makes it really cool and challenging and fun. And the fact that I am 100% convinced that we are right and everybody else is wrong is like the icing on the cake.
The icing on the cake, isn't it? But I mean, when you go back to what you were talking about with Noah, and that's going deeper.
Oh yeah.
Like, you're going deeper and you're getting a deeper engagement, and it's not about the impressions. It's about how do you make that one-on-one connection.
Do you guys know the phrase double bottom line?
No.
So in business, double bottom line is
that a Stanford thing?
No, I don't think so. I don't know where it's from.
Stanford, JD, MBA.
Yeah.
Five letters that nobody cares about except my mom, who cares deeply. A double bottom line means like when you do the thing that's right. So that bottom line, what's the right thing? What's going to benefit someone else? Very often, it's also the best thing for your business. Like think of Tom's Shoes. Tom's Shoes built its brand around this kind of buy one, give one model.
Sure.
And that created this totally differentiated brand proposition that resonated with people globally and turned Tom's into a multi-billion-dollar business. Double bottom line. We think of our business that way too. We can do the right thing. We can connect on a totally different plane. We can have an impact in the community. And if we do those things right, it's also going to be the right thing for the traditional bottom line of our business.
100%.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I learned something new today. Well, I learned a lot of shit new today about this fucking esports stuff and how damn big it is. And how it's growing. And I've never been into it. I've never, I stopped playing when I was playing Atari. That was a long time ago. But man, it's just, I have different friends that play and people watch them and they actually make money on it. It's just amazing what's going on in this whole industry.
There's this virtuous cycle in esports that is different than most traditional sports. So if I've asked this question to rooms of like hundreds of people, I say, how many people watched the Super Bowl this year? And everybody puts their hand up. And I say, keep your hand raised if the night of the Super Bowl after the game was over, you said to yourself, I saw Tom Brady do this amazing thing. I'm going to go do it. No one's hands up. I say, okay, put your hand back up if you played football with 21 friends, tackle football within a week of the Super Bowl, no hands. A month of the Super Bowl, no hands. A year of the Super Bowl, no hands. In esports, the vast majority of people that are watching can get to play.
Right.
Yeah.
And they get to play in the exact same environment as the people they just watched.
Can relate.
The same visuals, the same weaponry, the same characters, the same IP. Imagine if instead of watching the Super Bowl and having that be the experience, where was the Super Bowl this year? Minnesota, US Bank Stadium?
Yeah.
Imagine if you could be in US Bank Stadium playing that game with your friends or people that are exactly the same level as you the second the Super Bowl ended? Do you think you'd watch the Super Bowl with a little bit more of a
100%.
focus? Do you think that your gameplay would be kind of inspired and motivated right after? Do you think that would cause you to watch again to keep improving? There's this didactic component to why people watch. And that didactic component is complemented by the sense of community. We talked about it earlier. There's all these other people watching at the same time, and you can interact with them. And then there's the hype element, which is, we all know that feeling. You don't need to know anything about sports. You could be an alien, and you could watch LeBron James do something and sit up in your seat and be like, holy crap, that looked really cool.
Yeah.
And the same thing when you see Alexander Ovechkin take a slap shot, and the same thing when you see Mike Trout running the bases, and the same thing you see when you see, Phillip Rivers kind of rolling to his right and throwing a pass, and it's kind of someone makes a sideline catch. You don't need to know anything to know that you're witnessing something cool. Mm-hmm. That exists in esports too, but it has those other elements.
Sure.
It has that didactic component where you can actually improve your own gameplay, and it has that socially immersive component where you're watching it with all of these other people globally at the same time, and you can connect with them.
Let's bring it to activation on site, watch parties. Why is Luxor building something that they built out there, and what else is happening?
So, by the way, I was actually in Vegas recently, and my room at the MGM was double booked, something that would never happen at Valley View Casino and Hotel. and they offered me the nicest room at the Luxor for the night. That was the tallest midget of Vegas hotel rooms. Let me say, it was tough.
Yeah.
Oh, it was tough. But we got through it. Anyway, so I was at the Luxor. So why is the Luxor building this venue? They're building the venue, I think, because they're trying to figure out ways to attract the esports demographic to Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. For all of the reasons why Las Vegas wants people in Las Vegas. You lose a bunch of money at the casino, you overpay for a bunch of food at the buffet, you kind of hang out at the pool parties, which have to be the highest margin event in the history of mankind. I mean, it's a pool. It's a pool. What are your hard costs? Chlorine? Right. I mean,
the DJ?
Amazing. I guess the DJ, but like the DJ can come out for like 5 seconds.
Yeah. Right.
I've heard of these DJs. They spend like 10 minutes at 10 different places and they get $100,000 from each or something.
Yeah.
So you get to hear the DJ for one song, but you're paying $200 to be there for the day. It's crazy.
That's to get in.
Without
the bottle service or the cabana.
In my next life, I want to be a DJ. Anyway,
I would go to that show.
So that's one form of activation. I mean, they're trying to recruit people with premier events. Again, I think this is one area where we're a little bit different. So the top of the pyramid is always going to be that live championship event. But what we try to do is supplement that with community events. Go where the customer is. I don't want to have the customer go to Las Vegas to interact with a fan and deepen my connection to a fan. I want to understand where that fan is and wrap them in an experience that connects them to our brand that I can control without regard to team performance, without regard to venue availability. So here's an example. In our LA Valiant brand, so we operate 3 brands, which is very different than most esports organizations. In our LA Valiant brand, so this is an Overwatch league, which is the only league with geolocated franchises. We are the LA Valiant. There's a team called the Boston Uprising that's owned by the Kraft family. There's a team called the New York Excelsior that's owned by the Wilpon family who owns the Mets. We are the LA Valiant. We're LA's team, Southern California's team. We're going to be activating in San Diego, and we can talk about why it's called LA and not Southern California and whatever else.
Leave that to Scott Kaplan's podcast.
Yeah. Okay. But what we said is we need to understand the people in this market that are getting missed. Not just missed in esports, but just getting missed. And we looked at our audience. Again, we listened to our audience, and we saw that there was this very real and authentic connection to the LGBTQ community. Where do you think, what is the event, the single event in Los Angeles that probably is the biggest magnet for people in that community? I would argue it's probably LA Pride.
Yeah.
Pride, yeah.
So we said, we know that this community who loves and supports us is going to be out in force for LA Pride. Let's come up with an event at LA Pride. Meet them where they are. So we have this broad event series called Be Valiant that is entirely designed around this premise. Let's understand minority communities that are missed because everybody is focused on reach and audience size, and we're focused on individual relationships. and let's come up with programming specific to those minority communities. Let's not bundle all those minority communities and have the minority community event. Let's have a LGBTQ event at an LGBTQ event. So here was what we did. We, first of all, came up with a partnership, the first eSports partnership with an LGBTQ affiliated nonprofit, the You Can Play Project. So the You Can Play Project has deep roots in hockey and traditional sports, and their premise is so simple and yet so powerful. If you can play, you can play. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, green, male, female, gay, straight, who cares?
Sure.
It's about playing. We're doing this for fun. Everyone can play. Powerful message, powerful organization. We brought them in as a partner. We didn't just bring them in as a partner in some sort of value exchange. They're actually going to be giving sensitivity training to our staff and players.
Wow.
Because we want our staff and our players to be evangelists for this cause and allies in this community. We have to have that authentic link.
The buy-in has to happen both ways.
Connect to this community in a real way and make it work. I can't have a player on a stream say something. This happened in Overwatch League. A player said something very antagonistic and toxic towards this community. I can't have that if I'm going to be telling again, it's easy if you're consistent. I'm telling this community we share your values.
Yep.
So I have to back that up, right? So we partnered with the You Can Play Project, step 1. Step 2, we came up with a piece of merchandise. We took our Valiant logo and we came up with a rainbow version of it, and we produced pride patches. Very authentic to that community. There are pride patches everywhere, but super connective to our brand. We had our players wear those patches in competition. The first esports team to ever do that.
Wow.
That's a message that is broadcast.
Has any other professional
globally.
Team done that?
No.
I doubt that.
I think around Pride in the NHL, players have had rainbow tape on their sticks, but I don't know if they've had their actual core team logo in rainbow. I'm not sure. Maybe. But either way, we also sold patches so fans could buy them online, and we donated the proceeds of those sales to the You Can Play Project, and we actually gave those patches away at the arena when our team was playing. But then we had an activation at Pride at a sports bar and restaurant that was along the parade route, where we brought together cosplayers and we had raffles and prize packs and programming that was all about integrating our brand and our franchise in an authentic way with Pride on the parade route during Pride. And the bar told us, Jim Sports Bar in West Hollywood, they had the most people come through of any day in their history.
Wow.
And it was because, number one, we picked the right location.
Yeah.
Location, right? We were on the parade route, talking to a community and creating something slightly different and maybe value add for people that were engaging in this experience. And then we had a fan base that was connecting to us because we were connecting to this cause, and we were able to put those things together with great partners to support it. Jim Sports Bar and the You Can Play Project. Mm-hmm. So when we think about activation, notice, by the way, I didn't say anything about digital.
Yep.
I didn't say anything about kind of global distribution. I didn't say anything about scale and reach.
Right.
I talked about a small and specific community and trying to come up with a 360-degree program that would connect them to our brand in an authentic way on their terms. And we've done that also with kind of girls in gaming is another cause we care a lot about. We brought Microsoft in as a partner to tell a story that was, we need to get more women into the gaming industry. And this isn't about one female player. Everyone, when we talk about the inequalities in sports, everyone focuses on Michelle Wee.
Yeah.
Can we get one professional female golfer to compete with the men? To me, if that happens, great. But is that really the point? Aren't we talking about access opportunities, equality, creating a welcoming and fair environment, and encouraging young women, young girls to participate, and then encouraging them with opportunity throughout their career? Isn't that the point? At least that's the point to me.
No, absolutely.
So we had this event, Girls in Gaming, presented by Microsoft at the Microsoft Lounge in Culver City, an event designed by women for women, where we brought together executives from publishers, executives from distributors, executives from console companies like Microsoft, professional streamers, professional female players, people from our staff. They came together for a day of programming and workshopping and community that was all around, look, we are a community together of women. We can be together and support each other and help each other get more opportunities in this industry, professionally, as an executive, professionally as a player, or even just as a fan. And by the way, for both of those events, our Pride Party and our Girls in Gaming Summit before the event, just because we were talking about these things online and connecting to community partners and leveraging other partner relationships, be it Microsoft or You Can Play or others, people who had credibility in the marketplace already because we're a new team, a new brand. Before the event, we had millions of impressions.
Wow.
Millions, plural. After the event, we had millions of impressions.
Yep.
But we didn't do it because of the impressions. That's double bottom line.
Right.
It was the right thing, and it drove the right result.
Yeah.
And that's how we're building our Valiant brand. We're creating in real life what we call IRL experiences, small and specific, that deliver immense value. And then we complement and scale those experiences with content. And that content we can distribute globally. And that makes people that weren't at those events feel connected. It makes them anticipate the next one, so hopefully they'll go. It gives the people that were at the event a chance to relive it and share it with their friends and family and become that outside sales force that's connecting new and different people to our brand. That's how we're building the Valiant brand here in Southern
That's
California.
very honorable too. I mean, and it's, for us, I think, you get, like what you're talking about, people get so caught up in reach and who they're getting exposed to, and it's not always that. It's when you can focus on something in a group and, getting those people to really buy in. That's what's really important. And, to see someone on such a macro level doing the right things is pretty impressive for us to hear you talk about that. It's awesome.
What do you think the Gulls experience helped you to shape how you said you feel right and you're right. Do you know you're right because of what you've had to go through to get to where you are?
That's a good question. I guess I have 10,000 hours of being wrong. I guess I'm a genius at being wrong.
Well, I guess when you come to Spring Valley and you go to Troy Street and you see the area that we're in, and then you find a partner like us, and you do that on throughout San Diego with all of the Gulls partners. Once you go to a new community like eSports, it's easier to take those positions.
Yeah, so that's true. It's a really good question that you ask. The lessons that I take from the Gulls experience are, I hate to say it because it sounds so trite, but it's like the first thing that Ernie Hahn said when he met me, and it's the first thing that Sean said, and it's the first thing that Nate said. You know, by the way, when Nate left Charlotte, and he left season ticket holders behind, he maintained a relationship with these people. And I went back with him a year after, and when people saw him in Bojangles Coliseum where the Charlotte Checkers play, they actually cried.
That's rad.
It's relationships. It starts with relationships. And so I think we're right because across our three brands, for different reasons and with different angles, we are focused very specifically on developing relationships. The partners that I have for our MIBR brand might not be the same partners for our Valiant brand, but those are two different brands and two different fan bases, right? And so the kind of community, Southern California, equal access, low prices, Valiant brand, which I think is very similar to kind of the Gulls brand, is completely different from MIBR, which is established in many ways. The players are global international superstars. And because of that, the colors are sleek. It's black and it's silver. It's metallic. It's higher prices, limited supply, scarcity driven. It's talking to a different audience. And again, it becomes easy. When we're selling that, when that's what we're selling with MIBR and people are responding to that, they're going to get what they paid for. And with Valiant, when people come to our events and they feel that community, they feel that very physical Southern California equality-driven opportunity to be together and connect to this digital product in real life way, it becomes really easy because they came for those reasons and we just continue to reinforce the reasons they came. That was the lesson of the Gulls. I remember Nate and I, it was our first Wednesday game. It was November. It was the Wednesday before Veterans Day, and we had a guest from the American Hockey League office, and Nate and I were spending all of our time. It was the third game, the third home game. Remember, there was Foggate, then there was Willie O'Ree night, and then there was this game, and Was that a laugh track? It was someone outside.
I think it was someone outside.
And we had this guy from
it was Ernie Hahn laughing.
Ernie remembers. But we had this guy, and by the way, Rick from Rockin' Baja Lobster did this amazing Taco Tuesday activation with us, even though I think it was a Wednesday. Was it a Tuesday or a Wednesday? It's a Tuesday. It was a Tuesday. Okay, so we did this Taco Tuesday thing. And this guy from the AHL League office was trying to talk to Nate and I about group sales. Because group sales represent probably 80% of the tickets sold in the American Hockey League. And we had not really hit our stride as a group sales organization. And Nate and I were focused 100% on interacting with all the season ticket holders that were there. And we had this moment of recognition where it was like, we completely understand what your perspective is on this. And that might be right in 29 other markets.
Yeah.
It's possible, maybe not likely, but possible. But we're not interested in building an organization where 80% of the sales are group sales.
Yeah.
Group sales to us are essentially a loss leader to convert people into season ticket holders.
100%.
Our time needs to be spent this first weekday game, the first game where the upper deck isn't full. We need to be thinking about creating a reason where those people feel seen and heard, the season ticket holders. And I think we were right.
Yeah.
And so, like, I do think that kind of some of those proof points help a lot. And the other thing is, going back to our board, each of those people, despite the fact that they're super established and represent what are now very powerful organizations, are entrepreneurs. Mike Milken, one of the biggest names in global finance, but the guy created high yield debt. He's an entrepreneur. Steve Kaplan started one of the most, at its time, progressive, forward-thinking, different, disruptive investment entities in the entire world. Like, investing in distressed assets was just not something that people did from an equity perspective until Oaktree. AEG created the idea of a sports and entertainment district. They created the idea of, wait a second, if we can create this infrastructure above a bunch of different team assets, we can actually deliver highly efficient, well-priced services, but in a very brand-specific way across different platforms. So, for example, like, the same people are selling the Galaxy as are selling the Kings, but those brands are designed to achieve completely different objectives.
Yep.
The AEG DNA is there, but it's deployed to reach a soccer fan in Orange County or Southern California. It's deployed to reach a hockey fan in Los Angeles. It's deployed to reach a concert goer against Coachella in the desert, right? Entrepreneurship in sports and entertainment. Peter Levin was one of the first employees at Disney Digital. He co-founded Nerdist Industries. He started the Interactive Ventures and Games division at Lionsgate. And so we have this deep bench of people with decades of experience being entrepreneurs in all these different industries that we can kind of stress test our assumptions against. And it's not like the first idea is always right, but when we kind of go to our board and we say, we feel like we're right, and here's the reasons why, like, what do you guys think? And we can work together to refine the idea and the strategy, but the end of that journey is something that all of these super experienced, qualified, brilliant people and their organizations are aligned against. That makes you feel pretty comfortable that you're doing the right thing. And going back to the Gulls, people forget this about Henry Samueli. The guy is a brilliant entrepreneur. And he has made however much money he's made. It starts with a B and ends in an S. By the way, he's giving it all away and you'll never hear him talk about it. But do you know what that guy does every day? He's the CTO of his company. He's connected and committed to the technology. It started about the technology and it remains about the technology. When you have that kind of just commitment in ownership, that connection to a core product, that appreciation of what it takes to deliver a product to market, and you say, hey, Henry, here's what we're thinking about our product. What do you think? It makes you just feel more comfortable about your decision making.
100%.
You know the value of mentorship. I mean, think about what Gene has done in getting you guys connect, not only in teaching you what it takes to actually execute that product consistently, but about running barbecue competitions.
Correct, 100%.
Huge.
The legitimacy, the credibility,
100%.
right?
Absolutely. It's like what Gene's done for Derek and I, and what Arlie's done. I mean, they've put us into the industry as young people, not knowing, and having that wealth of knowledge and running ideas off of them, because a lot of the things that Derek and I are trying to do we're doing it for the long term. We're not doing it to have one event with Craig Dado, which thank you for introducing us to the Turf and Surf Barbecue Championship. Would not happen without Ari Segal,
right?
Setting up the Craig Dado.
Put that on my tombstone.
So when the biggest event on the West Coast happens, as we grow this thing out, you'll be a special guest, definitely.
Well, it's funny, like we kind of started talking about the genesis of mine and Sean's relationship, and hopefully for anyone still listening, and it's probably just our wives, and maybe
my wife doesn't listen.
Okay, yeah. So Kayla, maybe.
Yeah.
Nate's wife, beautiful wife. Anyone still listening, like it comes back to relationships here, right? Like
yeah.
Craig was a friend of mine. I introduced him to Sean. Dominic was a friend of Sean's and introduced him to me. Right. And by the way, now in running our business, we have this big idea that, depending on when this podcast goes up, I think was announced yesterday or the day before, where we want to have a first of its kind event throughout our entire market for the Valiant playoff run. We need to have an event in San Diego because, unlike other brands, even though our team is called the LA Valiant, we're going to come to San Diego. We're not going to ask San Diego to come to us. We are going to come to San Diego and put a flag in the ground and say, this is your Overwatch League team. Who do you think was the first person I called and said, hey, I need help putting on an event in San Diego?
You just went on Scott and BR and just told him.
Oh, that's true. That's right. I didn't even tell Sean. Sean found out about it while he was listening.
Yeah, that's right.
I just knew that I didn't even have to call him because I knew that Sean would be there.
100%.
And so remember, we're talking about a digitally native product. A product that people think about global reach and scale. They never talk about IRL experiences. We are doing, for our first weekend playoff game in the history of Overwatch League, by the way, Pacific Division champion LA Valiant, we are attempting to do 4 simultaneous events throughout our market. Wow. Inland Empire, LA proper, Orange County, San Diego. Why are we doing that? We're going to where the fans are. We want to make people throughout our entire region feel like this team is coming to me on my terms. Yeah. We're not asking them all to come up to LA right now. In a few years, when we have home games, we will. But let's build that relationship first, right? Mm-hmm. Each of those events will have massive value connected to it. There's a single ticket price. So if you pay the $10 ticket price, you get a free domestic draft beer or soft drink, 20% off F&B, some not for retail merchandise and swag. All of the proceeds, by the way, benefit St. Jude Children's Hospital. Right. The only reason, by the way, we're charging a price is to help manage capacity of our venues. Like I said, we're donating all the money to St. Jude. And each of the local events, so of the 4, while they're all going to be the same in some respect, there's going to be that same ticket offer, the game will be on, et cetera, et cetera. Each event will have different personalities. Because each fan base is different. Each market is different. Each entrepreneur who owns that location has different priorities. So the ones that are in LA, we're working with the Kings to get some Kings players there or Kings assets there. The one that's closer to Orange County, we're working with the Galaxy to see if they can activate with us. Here in San Diego, we're working with Scott and BR to see if maybe they can do something, or Mighty 1090. I don't know.
Ari Segal has volunteered to get in a tub of jalapeno barbecue sauce.
If we hit our internal team goal,
when we hit
it,
we will live stream.
I will be jumping in a tub of jalapeno barbecue sauce.
Let's do it.
On behalf, we're going to do that.
We should upload it to Twitch.
Oh, we'll 100%.
100%. See what kind of viewership we draw for that. And by the way, I know you guys are constantly thinking about how to motivate staff, your teams. We divided our staff into 4 SWAT teams. Each SWAT team has a different party that they're working with, and they have been given carte blanche. But we've said we're competing. We're competing on the basis of who's going to sell the most tickets, who's going to drive the most attendance to these events. Everything is a competition, right?
We love it. No, it's, for Derek and I, just to get the education that you've laid down for us about eSports and about the opportunity. In life, what I've found personally is that business is personal. as much as we don't want to think that it is. And it goes back to what we were talking about with relationships. And the relationships that mean the most to me are the people that they understand who we are and what we're trying to do. And they understand that if they buy into us, you're going to get 100% of me. Well, there is no 110%. There's 100%, and you're going to get all in. And that's me, my family, my team. Hopefully, Derek, if he's not too busy.
No, look,
I signed him up for all kinds of shit.
This is a real story. So the first year of the Gulls, we had games on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and the Friday after Thanksgiving. So obviously, people couldn't go home for Thanksgiving. Sean was the restaurant was going to be closed. Cali Comfort Barbecue was going to be closed.
Yeah, we did the barbecue war story because of how shitty Thanksgiving has turned out for us smoking turkeys. So yes, we were closed.
They were closed. And I said to Sean, what am I going to do with my team? I've got all these people, like in many cases, young kids, some a little older, some with young families, but like they don't have family here. What are they going to do on the one day of Thanksgiving? And Sean and his family, his wife was there, he was there, his team opened Cali Comfort and served our entire staff a Thanksgiving Day dinner.
That was awesome.
It was the best. Honestly, it was the best event I've ever been to in my whole life. Best party I've ever been to in my whole life. Yeah. It was our staff and Sean's staff celebrating Thanksgiving together.
Your mom, your dad.
My mom and dad.
They couldn't stop talking about the brisket.
She
was ready to smuggle it on the plane.
Yeah, she couldn't stop talking about the brisket. That's true. My Derek was there with Parker. Yep. I think was it Parker's first Thanksgiving, I think. Was. Sam Kekeffer's dad was there. Nate and Kayla were there. I mean, our whole staff, everyone who didn't live in a drivable distance came out for that day. We had football. I mean, what's better?
Right.
Brine turkey, wedding beans, brisket, and football.
It was awesome. Yeah, no, it was really cool.
So when you talk about what you get with Sean, that's what you get. That's the commitment you get.
Those are the things beyond the sponsorship deal. And that only happens with relationships. And when you have those relationships, you know, it's not something where it's like, hey, Ari, let me get this. Or why didn't I get this? It's when I can do it, I can do it. Just put me on the list. Just ask me. And if you're in a pinch and you need something, I'll run through a fucking wall for you.
He ain't lying. You ain't lying. I mean, you do it all the time for everybody. So, I mean, that's just a testament to who you are.
Well, it's a testament to who you are, too. That's why we're as close as we are.
Well, what we should do, guys, is at the next, I'm forgetting the name of it. The event you guys do in Spring Valley, the block party.
Yeah, Spring Valley Tailgate and Barbecue Festival, which you almost saved with the year that we lost our. Yeah,
wow.
That's how deep the relationship is. When you're bold enough to ask Ari Segal, the president, to try and run it through the Ducks organization to save the event, and he did everything possible to do that.
Well, but I was going to say next year we should do a gaming expo.
Let's do it
at that event.
Done.
We should have a bunch. We should have what are the
October
dates?
28th.
Yeah, we should bring our mobile team down.
100%.
We should have like maybe some teach people how to play mobile games. For the people who do play, we can market that our teams will be there. Right. Come and play with the pros, that 100%. Kind of thing. We'll figure out some ways to activate. Love to get the Valiant players down there.
That would be fantastic.
This is their home.
No, that'd be awesome. I'm
totally 100% on that.
Figure out a wireless partner to give us some 5G or something.
Yeah, right. No kidding, right?
Absolutely. Well, we just appreciate you, man, taking the time to come down and share your story and your journey. I mean, it's been awesome, and like I said, just the passion that you have for what you're doing right now is really exciting to see. So congratulations with that, and we're excited to see where it goes.
It's so, don't you guys are so passionate, right? Don't you think it's weird that passion is a rare thing? I don't know how people go to work without, like, what gets you out of bed when you're not all in?
Right.
Like when I started my career on Wall Street, I had a friend who died in a car accident. I've talked about this many times, and I was sitting at his memorial service thinking to myself, man, if I died today, like, I would hate myself because I didn't give a crap about what I was doing.
Right.
And like every day since then, just like you guys, every day it's like, let's freaking attack this day.
Yep, you have to.
I don't know any other way to do it.
That's what drives us, and that's what gives us, opportunities to sit here and talk to the president of Immortals. I mean, there's no reason for us to have these deep, you introduce us to Bruce Howard. I mean, Craig Dato. There's a reason why all these things are happening.
Almost because of Ari.
I know, really.
Everyone that we talk to, man.
But those relationships upon relationships, and you make those connections. I mean, shit, I had... Kyle Whistle from East County Eats, who we had on this podcast, he just hit me up yesterday to ask for Hannes's number so that he can get Pioneer Barbecue on East County Eats. I'm fucking awesome. Done in a second.
Right.
Here, meet these two people. These two guys are fucking brothers for us, and whatever they need. So
absolutely. Well, we got to give our social shout out.
Yep. Social shout out every week.
It's going to a gentleman in Ohio, Beverly, Ohio, Blair Beingard. How would you pronounce that?
I would go just with the handle at BlairBin.
At BlairBin. He's been tagging us on Instagram and, just sharing his journey. So we're excited to see that he's doing that and taking time to do some nice barbecue. Looking at all of his ribs and stuff, looks like he's doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
So what's his handle?
His handle's at BlairBin.
At BlairBin. If you DM Sean.
Yeah.
Corey. We'll send you some. We'll send you some Valiant swag too.
Rad.
If we can get your home
how
address.
How do people find you? So follow Ari on Twitter for sure, 100%.
You can follow me at Ari Segal. You can follow the Valiant at LA Valiant, Immortals at Immortals, and MIBR at MIBR.
And to no surprise, they're crushing it on social, which is no surprise to me.
That's our community manager, Steve Fortin. The guy is we call him he's the team leader of Meme Team 6.
Nice. I like it.
That's awesome.
I like it.
Well, yeah, thank you guys for listening. I'm going to be out for a week. Derek is going to be doing a special episode for 4th of July. So we have our bye week, and then we're going to come right back.
Yep. I'm going to do one with Chad Ward.
Traeger Grills.
Traeger Grills. He's going to come down. He's a friend of ours. We've been with him many times and gone to different events and hung out, and gonna have him on here, feed him some pokey, some barbecue, and shoot the shit about barbecue and what he's doing. He's doing a lot of stuff with Traeger, man. They're doing a lot of stuff. They're out there. He's always traveling, so I'm excited to shoot the shit with him.
I'm really excited to hear an episode without me in it. It's gonna be fucking great.
You gotta get Sean. You gotta get Corey on to talk about salad.
Oh yeah, 100%. So, happy Father's Day to you too, for you and your little man.
First one, you too, right?
Yeah, all of us.
Congratulations.
And you. He's got a couple.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of new fathers here. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We appreciate it. Check out Valiant and come watch Ari get in a bath of jalapeno barbecue sauce.
Yeah. I think the website is livethelegacy.com.
We'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put it out. So come out to the event at Cali Comfort Barbecue and support the Valiant.